Because I was born in an absolutely different era as far as India is concerned. India was not independent then. It was under British rule. It got independence in 1947.
And so what year were you born, Wilson?
I was born in 1936.
Where were you born?
I was born in Banswara. And before independence, there were these princely states who were almost semi-independent. And, they had their own administration, etc. And I saw that era till 1947.
So when you say princely states, what does that mean? In terms of like, how was your family life and what did your family look like?
Well, in those days, the princes ruled the state. And they had their own laws and entire administration. They had their own army, police, etc. And it was a different era for me and everyone else born in that, because life that time was eat, drink, and be merry. The prince and the families all, my grandfather was His Highness of Banswara. And my father was the fifth son. He had 8 sons. One died in his 20s. And so my father was the fifth son. And they all lived in the palace. There was one big palace, the main palace, and there were 4 other palaces. And they lived in the palace, and after they got married, then they were given their own jagis and they built their own bungalows. But the life centered around the palace only. And as I said, life was just eat, drink, and be merry, parties, hunting, and sports. And my father and his brothers and all, they all went to a very exclusive private boarding school. There were 4 boarding schools at that time, which were built by the princes of those days. So there was this Mayo College. It was called college because we had 2 years of a college, first. But basically it was from first. And so that was for the region of Rajputana. And then there was Delhi College, which was for the region of Madhya Bharat. And then there was Rajkumar College, Rajkot, which was for the states of Gujarat. And the 4th one was Aitchison College, Lahore. It was built by the Nawabs of the states. And there were no girls there were no girls in the school at that time. And you won't believe it, that right from first standard to 12th, there were when I went to school, there were about 140 or 150 boys. That's all. So in each class there were 8 or 10 boys. And our principal always came from, he was an Englishman, from Oxford or Cambridge. And the other teachers were also very highly qualified. And besides that, we had 3 other English people there. One was the nurse in the private hospital on the campus. It was a huge, big campus. And then there was matron of one of the junior boarding schools. And there was one more, so those four were English, you know. And my school was named after Delhi College because it was named after the Lieutenant Governor Henry Daly, who was the governor of Madhya Bharat at that time. And Mayo College was named after Lord Mayo, who was the Viceroy of India at that time.
So also going back to your family, so you said your grandfather was the His Highness. What was his name, or what was your father's name?
My grandfather's name was Shambhu Singh. And my father's name was Chhatru Singh.
And how many wives did Shambhu Singh have?
Do you want me to tell you?
Of course.
Well, my grandfather had 9 wives, and my great-grandfather had 13 wives.
What about the concubines?
Oh, no, not concubines. Then there was mistresses.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the main palace was humongous, huge. And at that time, there was what they call the parda system. The females always lived, you know, they couldn't come out with men. They always had their own. So each of them had their own, you know, bunch of maids, and all of them had, you know. And it's a huge, if you see the photo of the main palace, it's humongous.
So how many cousins did you have?
Oh, quite a few, you know.
So that's you obviously grew up in the 30s and leading into the 40s, but you witnessed the end of the princely state era.
And the end of British rule partition.
Post-independence,
Yeah.
Gandhi being shot,
Yeah.
all of these things.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to hear a little bit more about that.
Okay.
And what that was like, especially for you, being you were, you know, not even a teenager when some of this happened, when it started to.
Well, in 47, I was almost 12 years old.
Yeah.
So I saw the whole thing.
And what do you remember about it?
Oh, so much. So you want me to start talking?
Yeah. Go ahead, Doctor.
Well, once Britishers, they decided to give independence to India. Of course, there was big revolution and all that. And they finally decided that, of course, okay, they would give independence. Then the question came, because there was the majority of people in India were Hindus, and the second big majority was Muslims. So the Muslims started saying, oh, we want our own country. So the question of partition came. And very reluctantly, the Hindu leaders and all, they agreed because they didn't have any solution to that. And the Britishers also gave the choice to all the princes, you know, that either you can merge with India, or you can merge with Pakistan, or you can remain independent. So naturally, the princely states, they said, no, we're going to remain independent. And the political leaders of that time, they were very, you know, disturbed about it, but they couldn't do anything. So they had to agree. So all the princes, they formed what they call the Chamber of Princes, and they decided to form an independent country. But as usual, as they say, 2 Indians and 3 opinions. So there was friction. And so ultimately, the things didn't work out. But still, now states like Hyderabad, Kashmir, Mysore, they were like a huge country. So they said, no, we will not. But finally, all of them agreed to sign the Instrument of Accession. accept Kashmir. Maharaja Hari Singh, he said, no, I won't. Fine. And the Nawab of Hyderabad also said, I'm not going to. But at that time, the Minister of Defense, Sardar Patel, he sent in the Indian Army and they conquered the army of Hyderabad. So that's how it was integrated. And so the country of India and Pakistan was made. But there is a huge majority of Muslims in India, but Pakistan had almost 70, 80, 90% of Muslims. And then started the immigration, people running from, Hindus running from Pakistan to India, Muslims running to Pakistan from India. And at that time, a lot of people lost lives, and the government did their best, but it was a terrible time. But finally, the integration of states and all the rulers, when they had to sign an instrument to accession, at that time the government of India said, okay, we'll give you this much of compensation every year. And their palaces were left, their properties were left to them, and the Jagirs and all, they got compensation. So that's how things, but they lost all power. But still they lived a very lavish lifestyle because they had. And during the Second World War, the countries that fought, Japan and all, of course, Indian Army, at that time, of course, British ruled, and the Nizam of Hyderabad, the ruler of Hyderabad, because the Britishers, were short of funds with all this thing, because war went on for almost close to 6-7 years, Second World War. So the Nizam of Hyderabad gave ton of money to the British government. He was that rich, the Nizam of Hyderabad. But anyway, that's how India got independence, and the states were merged, and that is what India is now.
Do you remember when Gandhi was shot where you were?
Yes.
Where were you?
I think I was in school when Gandhi was shot. Yeah. He was the leader of independence, and there were some people who did not agree with him. So Nathuram Godse was the one who shot him.
How did your life change? You described a dream world, obviously,
Yeah.
pre-independence. Now post-independence, everything has changed.
Yeah.
How did your life change?
Well, slowly we had to sort of kind of get used to, because my father, we had almost close to 25, 30 servants in our own group. And as far as palace was concerned, there were maybe 100 servants, and drivers and this and that. So slowly life changed, and we had to get accustomed to that.
What was your earliest memory as like a child?
Well, my memory of those days was parties and fun and dancing and there used to be, in India these are ladies who come and dance they specialize in certain dances and music and all. It used to go on, drinks and all. Life was like a dream. And we always thought that We would always live like that. But things changed.
What was the toughest thing to see your parents or your father go through? Because they obviously were well into their adult life when this happened.
Yeah.
So what was the toughest thing for you to see them go through when this changed?
Well, we had to cut down on servants. Then the attitude towards servants also changed of all royalties. And I remember my uncle, who was His Highness, during the stage time, he was having his breakfast in the morning. And of course, his wives and all, they were all in different parts of the palaces inside. And there were 3 or 4 waiters standing behind in all dresses, etc. So the breakfast was served, and he picked up the salt bottle to put salt on the omelette or something. And it fell, the cap, because the waiter had put the salt, but he forgot to. So he just looked around. Who is the one who did that? So they brought him. Your Highness, this is the one. He said, send him to jail for 7 days. So he was sent to jail for 7 days. That was a life.
But also, so you said for your father, he was very trusted by his brother.
Yeah.
And was a trusted advisor.
Mm.
And he had the option to live a very different life post-independence.
Yeah.
But then chose not to.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
Well, the Indian government gave him the opportunity if he wanted to be in the high administrative position. But His Highness Dungapur, he said, no, you stay in Banswara. So he decided not to.
But then what happened to your family as a result then?
Well, he was happy staying in Banswara because he still had all his brothers, and parties were going on, not to that extent. I remember there was a huge swimming pool in the palace, indoor. So when my father and uncles and all, they would swim, so there would be these singers, playing music, and the waiters would be serving drinks while they are swimming around, and we would be sitting, all the kids, no girls, men, boys, and when they would finish, then we would go into the changing room and get into swimming suits, and then we will swim.
So thus you had how many siblings?
At that time, before partition, we were 3. My elder brother, then my sister, and then myself. And my younger brother was born after independence, who is 14 years younger than I, and he's the one who lives in Boston now.
And how is the relationship with your siblings growing up? Who were you closest to?
No, what lifestyle was that in those days, uncle's children, of same age, played around. So my elder brother would play with, my uncle's children of his age. I would play with, So that's how it used to be.
What was one thing that you admired most about your mother and your father?
Well, both were very affectionate. Only thing is, in those days, the fathers, that was the custom, would not show too much affection openly. Like they would not hug their children too much, or, And when I was young, my father didn't want me to spend too much time inside with my mother-in-law. That was, like a parda system. So when I grew up a little, then he said, hey, you have to sit out. You are a you are a man, not a girl, you know. That's how it was. But not that we were not allowed to, you know. But we were raised very affectionately and sent to the best possible schools. My elder brother, he was very intelligent and all, but he didn't concentrate too much on studies. He was more interested in sports and all that. And I used to concentrate a lot on studies, and I used to get very good reviews from the school every semester. And so my father said, "Oh, listen, if you keep on studying like this, I will send you to Oxford or Cambridge for your higher studies." Because in those days, studying in Oxford or Cambridge, those were the two top universities, you know, in England. Those were the two top universities. But then, after independence, things changed.
Also, what do you miss about your parents?
Well, you know, they were very caring, and you know, like when I would be going to school after this thing vacation was over, my mother would start crying a week before that he's going to the boarding school, you know, and sometimes she would plead, no, let him stay for 2 days more, 3 days. My father said, no, he has to leave on time when the semester starts. So those were times.
What do you miss about your father, though, sir?
Oh, he was a gentleman. He taught me some very, very good values. And one of the things that he taught me was, he says, always remember duty before life. Duty before self. You have to think of what you're supposed to do rather than what you want to do. That is your. So that's what I was raised with that value.
Do you feel like that's why when you came to the States and you brought everyone over here and you chose not to get married, is it because of that value?
Yeah, because in those days, you know, we were supposed to marry only Indian in our caste. There was different caste system in India among Hindus, you know. So we could not get married outside the caste. So we are Rajput, so we had to marry Rajput.
But even when your mom said it was okay, you still wouldn't?
No, she never said okay.
Malcolm at one point just wanted you to get
No,
married.
married, but you know, I don't think she would have been happy. And by that time I realized that no, I have to respect the values that my father taught. So it's okay.
So now it's just you and Turlalsa left?
Yeah.
Your siblings?
Yeah.
So when it comes to your older brother and your older sister, what do you miss the most about them? And what do you think were their best qualities?
Well, they were extremely affectionate
Besides affectionate.
and very caring.
Why don't we go one by one?
Yeah.
Starting with Barlas.
Yeah.
Talk about your relationship with him.
Yeah, he was.
What would be one thing that you would want Amar and Raji's kids to know about their grandfather?
Well, he was such a giving person that if I was hungry and there was only one piece of bread, he'll give 3/4 to me. Very caring. And even my sister also. Because we were taught right only. And we were always close. But we never kept on playing together because we played with our cousins of our age. Because I had 6 uncles, so they also had children, and they were huge, big houses, you know. So we would play cricket and other sports together. And
All right, Elsa. So keeping in mind, we're going to go through your siblings
Uh-huh.
first. Okay. So thinking about Amar just got married, Raji
Huh?
just got married.
Uh-huh.
Right? What is one thing, or what is something, or just in general, like an anecdote about your brother that you would want both of them to remember?
Okay.
Like, what was something special about him, or a memory or a story that you felt was so near and dear to you about him? What would you want them to know about him? Because they were really young when he passed away.
Oh, yeah, that's right. No, my brother by nature was extremely caring of everyone. If somebody needed any help, he would go out of his way to help, come what may, you know. So that was one quality that, you know, you don't find in so many people, you know. Even if it created problem for him, but he will solve other person's problem. So that was very good, and he was very loving, very affectionate. Also, my elder brother had a tremendous knack, and a tremendous knack in the sense, tremendous expertise in the field of automobiles. That was one of his hobbies, you know, and he could fix not anybody else's car, but, you know, he liked, and he was very fond of driving. He would go out of his way to say, okay, I'll drive you. And there's so many times when he will fix, of course there were mechanics and all, but he said, no, let me fix. He'll tell his friends or his cousins and all, I'll fix your car, let me check and see. And he had a tremendous expertise in that.
And also he died in his 60s.
Yeah.
So you've lived over 20 plus years without him.
Yeah.
What do you miss about him?
I miss most his affection.
No, besides affection. What do you miss about him?
Well, he was very happy-go-lucky person. If you sit with him, you will start laughing within no time. And a couple of my other cousins also. If you sit with them, they'll make you happy within no time. Crack jokes, you know, laugh, this, that. And
do you miss talking to him the most?
yeah, and you know, he could face tough situations. He was very tough. So that was a tremendous quality.
Now, what about his wife? You were close to your sister-in-law.
Oh, she was a very, very caring, very sweet, and also she didn't talk much, but she, one could feel that she had a lot of dignity. A lot of dignity. She took tremendous care of my mother, you know. And when Jagat was young, you know, that time because my father was dead, and even my elder brother, he took tremendous care of Jagat. So that's a tremendous care.
And then going on to your sister, who's my grandmother, what do you miss about her?
Oh,
and what was something that was special about her for you?
Well, as far as my sister was concerned, she could face the most difficult times. She was tough, you know. And she, if a thing was right, she would stand by it. Even if 10 people are opposing it, she said, no, that's not right. Which is very good. And in those days, not very many women from our societies, they would work, but she even worked in MGD. And she had a good reputation as a teacher.
And what about your brother-in-law? Bobby says.
Oh, he had a different personality. Absolutely different personality.
How old were you when she got married?
Let's see, she got married in 1955. 55, so I was almost 19 years old. That's how I went to Agra, because he told my father that put him in St. John's College, Agra to do his bachelor's.
But you were going to go somewhere else, I thought.
I wanted to go to St. Stephen's College, Delhi. But St. John's College was, Agra was an affiliated institution of the.
Were you happy about that?
Oh yeah, it's a very good institution. Very good institution. So I did my bachelor's and master's from there.
And then what about your youngest brother in Boston?
Oh yeah, he didn't see those, luxurious life of that time.
So what's your favorite aspect of your relationship with him?
Well, initially, both my elder brother and I treated him more like a kid, because he was so young. He's 14 years younger than I. And between my elder brother and my sister and myself, there is a difference of 2 years, My elder brother was born 32, my sister was born 34, and I was born in 36, while he was born in 1950, 14 years. So we didn't sort of at that time, we would take care of him, etc., but we couldn't sit and talk to him and this and that, because.
What about now?
Yeah, but all three of us loved him very much. We used to play around when he was a kid, with him so much.
And what do you love most about your relationship with him now, at this age?
Oh, he's very caring, he's very affectionate.
I'm going to ban this word affectionate. You can't say affectionate anymore. You have to find another word.
Very loving.
Besides loving. But what is it about him that you really, what about your relationship do you appreciate with him today?
Well, he does so much for me. After I moved from here, he takes care of all my, investments, accounts, etc. And does all the, paperwork, etc.
Now, so how boring, out of everything to say about your brother, you say he takes care of your paperwork? So, but what do you like about your relationship with him?
Well, he insists on my coming and spending time with him. So that's why initially I used to come to Washington and go and spend a couple of weeks with him. But now, since last so many years, I come to Boston and then come to Washington and San Francisco and all.
Do you still think of him as a kid or as a brother?
No. And I'm very proud of him that he did so well. That is very, very good. When he came here, he did his MBA, I think, from George Washington American University, and then he did his CA, and later on he became president of a company. Absolutely, very well. And both his kids are doing very well. One is a lawyer, other one is a director in a company, and they've got 2 children, both of them, a boy and a girl. So they are very happy.
And what about his wife?
Oh, she's a wonderful lady. She's so caring, my God. When I'm there, she will say on the dot, "Can I bring your tea? Can I bring your breakfast? What would you like?" And exactly. Very caring. And she do all the work. I said, no, let me do this. No. I would want to do my laundry. I said, no, I have to do it. So, but only thing is this, I can't spend too much time with him because I don't have any friends in Boston.
Yeah.
This is where all my friends are, because I lived all my life when I was in US in Washington area. So, and unfortunately, most of my friends have passed away.
That is also not true. You just had lunch with 8 of your friends yesterday.
No, that's right. But, 2 of my closest friends, we were friends for almost since 1958. We studied together doing a master's. Of course, both of them came earlier.
Ramesh uncle?
Oh, Ramesh, and then came Bansi. So I miss them very much. But that's life.
So you wanted to talk a little bit more about the family?
Family, yeah. Because I talked only just now about,
Your siblings.
yeah. Now I want to talk about my nephews and nieces. I'm very happy. I was able to sponsor all of them one by one. And they all settled very well. All of them went to the best universities. I never thought that they would go to such good universities and be in such good profession. Not only are they doing very well financially, but they have turned out to be good human beings, which is most important to me. Caring, affectionate. Of course, once in a while people may have a slight difference of opinion, but otherwise, and they've all been extremely good and caring. They all insist time to time, move back to US. I said, what will I do all by myself? When I was here, I used to play tennis vigorously every day during summertime. And then I got tennis elbow after 10, 12 years or something like that. So I got into badminton. We had a group and played for about 6, 7 years. Then I got shoulder problems, so I got into table tennis because I was always in sports. And you won't believe it, in 1970, 78, 79, when I got another job, because I took a break of about a year and a half between the first job and this one. At that time, I had a 4-day work week. 4-day work week. And my office hours were 12 to 5 Monday, Tuesday, and 12 to 7 Wednesday, Thursday. Fridays, Saturdays, Sunday off. The rest of the work I could do anytime. I used to love that job. I hardly felt as if I was going to. Of course, I had to take less salary, but for me, money was not always a big consideration. I was living well, had a good apartment, good vehicle, So that was a wonderful time. And in between, I also got a chance to join International Monetary Fund. And you get very good jobs there. And so I was interviewed by the director, and they wanted someone, there was a vacancy with a degree in economics. And I had done my master's in economics. And they said, your main job would be to, when the board of directors sit down for the meeting, then you'll be sitting, not with them, on the side, taking notes of what the discussions went. And then you'll go and write it down so that it can be distributed and also become part of them. So I said, great, and very good salary. But then I thought, hey, do I want to go to work at 9 o'clock? I'll have to get up at 7 o'clock to go to downtown, get ready and all that. And 5 days a week, I said, no. I love this 4-day work week. So I never felt as if I was working.
So also, how did you, and why did you decide to come to the U.S.? Because you were doing well in India. You were in Bombay, you were working. What about why did you want to come here?
Well, I worked in Bombay from 62 to 68 in a very good bank. And I was living in one of the poshest areas in Bombay, Marine Drive, in Raj Singh Ji's flat, because he was single and we had family relations. And so we had a 4-bedroom apartment. So he lived in one, I lived in one, and Hanuman Singh, my nephew, lived in one. So it was very good, and I enjoyed it. But I wanted to come to the United States. I said, let me go there. Maybe I can do better for myself, and maybe I can be of help to the family. So I decided to come here. Both Raj Singh and Hanuman Singh, they were top in cricketers. My nephew played for India. I don't know whether you know cricket. Yeah, he played for India. So they both said, no way, you are not going. We are not going to let you go. I said, no, I want to go. No way. Because in those days, it was even difficult to get a passport. So I told Rasinji had tremendous contacts, Okay, please help me get passport. He said, no, he took the papers and all. He said, no, you can't get it. He could have gotten it done. So he was deadly against. So somehow I was able to manage to get the passport. Then a friend of mine, who was an officer in the same bank I was working, he had a relative here, and he wanted to come to the United States also. So he told me that he had gotten admission in a computer school, because to get immigration, it was a long process, filing papers and all. So he said, listen, I'm going there, and then after we go there, we will file for a green card. So I did the same. And it was a small computer. Computers were just, So I got admission in that. And at that time, the government of India was very short of foreign exchange. So they would give foreign exchange to students only if they were going to accredited universities. And this was a small computer. So I was refused. We can't give you foreign exchange, howsoever money you have. So all I got was some $15 or $20. And at that time, a dollar was worth 7 rupees and 50 paisa, and now it's 82 rupees. $1 is equal to 82 rupees. So anyway, I said, but then when I went to the embassy to get the visa, they said, how can we allow you? The Reserve Bank of India is not giving you money. How will you support yourself? I said, when I go there, I'll get a job. They said, no, we can't give you a visa. So I wrote to the director of the computer school. I said, will you please give me this thing that you are providing me a job on the campus? So he wrote back, certainly. So I got visa. So that's how I came to United States. And at that time, there were very few people going out of the country. This I'm talking of 1968. So when I went to get should I continue this?
Yeah.
When I went to get the airline ticket, you won't believe it. It was Air India. I got the ticket to United States, and they gave 2 stopovers in Europe at their own expense in a hotel. And I could pick what countries I wanted to make a stop. So I said, okay, I want to go to Paris and then to London. So I got it. When I landed in Paris, and the immigration said, you don't have a visa. I said, I'm just here for a day. So the guy said, no, you can't enter France. So I said, what do I do? Where will I live for a day? I don't even have money. So then the other guy I talked to, so he was very nice. I explained to him, I'm an honest student. So they let me go. I went to the hotel. They provided hotel accommodation, also airline, So I spent a day and a half in Paris seeing, everything. And next day I went to Belgium. They sent me to Belgium to get a connecting flight to London. When I landed in London, and I was wanting to get my baggage, they said, your baggage is lost. I said, what? He says, we are trying to trace it, where it is. My God, I was shivering what to do. Again, they had given me a day's, 1 day free hotel stay. So I said, okay, I'll go to the hotel, in the hotel bus. And I kept on calling them. They said, we are trying to trace your bag. Finally, at about 9 or 10 o'clock in the night, they said, it was sent to, I think, some other European country by mistake. They put it on, wrong airline. Same airline, but so I got, because at that time, the law was when you come here, you have to bring certain health certificates. Otherwise, even with visa, you are not allowed to enter United States. And I had all those certificates in that bag. I said, oh, what do I do now? I don't have money, and I can't go to United States. Anyway, at 10 or 11 o'clock, I got the call, we have found you. I said, wonderful. So next, I couldn't see anything in London. And Raj Singh ji had told me that you can get in touch with so-and-so, my money is lying there. So I called him up and he said, today is a Sunday, I can't go to the bank today. So I couldn't get that money either. Took the flight to New York, or I don't know. I was supposed to come to Washington, National, but somehow that flight got delayed or something like that. So the airline put us in a helicopter, this thing, and we were sent to the other airport in New York. And we got into but instead of landing at this national airport, the flight landed at Dulles. And Dulles was empty. It was a new airport, absolutely. So my friend's brother, he was here, so he was supposed to come and pick me up. And there I don't see him, because I told him I'll be landing at national such a airline. I said, what to do? I was horrified. No money, no one to know what to do. Finally, of course, there were no cell phones or anything like that. I managed to call from the booth, and his younger brother said that he has gone to National to pick you up, and he didn't find you. I said, so he came and picked me up. So that was a relief to find him. After I landed, he took me to his place, and I stayed with him a day or two. And this friend of mine, who was in a bank there, he had already gotten an apartment, 1-bedroom apartment, with another friend of his, whom I didn't know. So I called him and he said, okay, we made arrangements, we three will be staying here. So I moved there. And then I went next day to the computer school. And I told the director, I'm here. And so he said, okay, the classes will start, 2-3 days later. So I said, what about my job? No, he said, you have to pay your fees. I said, I don't have any money. I thought you're going to give me a job and I'll learn and give you. He said, there is no job for you. You wanted visa, that's why I wrote that, yes, I have given you a job. Oh my God. And then he says, you have to bring the fee. I said, I don't have money. He said, listen, if you don't pay fees for the semester, I will report to the immigration department and you will be deported. Oh my God. So I said, please give me a few days, 2-3 days, 4 days, I will arrange. So I went to my friend. He was married to an American girl, very nice lady. She was doing her master's at Georgetown University. So I said, I went to the bank first. Bank said, yeah, I will give you a loan, I have a student loan. But then they said, where do you work? I said, no, I don't have a job. So then the officer laughed at me. How can we give you a loan when you have no income? I explained to him, I said, look, officer, this is what my problem is. If I don't pay the fee, I'll be deported. So he said, okay, let me talk to the head office. The name of that bank was Suburban Trust. Then it became Suburban later on, and then it merged with Bank of America. So my same account is with Bank of America. So he said, let me talk. So he talked to the head office, and they said, listen, we can't give him loan, but if we can get an American citizen to co-sign for him, then, so that if you fail to repay, then, so his wife co-signed for me and I got the money and I paid the fees. So that part was over. Then I went to 2 or 3 banks and I said, I want a job at that time, because of the Korean War, I think. Vietnam War, sorry. There were plenty of jobs. So I went to the bank and said, I want a job. He said, certainly. I said, this is my qualification, I've got master's in economics and I worked in a major bank in India for 6 years. So he certainly will give you a job. So I filled out the application. He said, go fill this out, and gave it to him. And after he went through, he called me. He says, you didn't write your visa status. I said, I am on a student visa. So he said, no, we can't give you a job without a green card. So I didn't get a job. I went to 2 or 3 other banks also. They said, sorry, you have the qualification, you have the experience, but so I kept on looking for a job. Then finally, my friend where I was living, he was going to Howard University, his younger brother. So he told me, come with me. You can work at Washington Post, night shift. Those supplements that come, the paper, newspaper, and then supplements that come. So you pick them up from this thing, put it on this thing, and then you're supposed to put them in. So I used to do that. And there were quite a few Indian students and all, and Pakistani students. So Twice a week I used to do that. And so I used to get some $18 a week. So that's what I would live in, because we had to pay $89 for the apartment between the three of us. So the rent, each one had to pay $30 per month for the rent. And another $40, $50, we used to go and buy skim milk and boiled egg. None of us knew how to cook. So skim milk and bread, and we would boil the egg and all. That's how we lived. And it went on for quite some time. Then, while working there, used to be quite a few Indian students. So there was one student by the name of Abdul. He was Pakistani. He was doing his pharmacy at Harvard. Here.
Howard, yeah.
Harvard. I always get confused between Harvard and Harvard.
Howard, yeah.
So I said, Abdul, I want a job. So he said, hey, my semester is going to start. And I was working, he was working in a pharmacy, which was kind of, it was a pharmacy which got prescriptions and they sent it by post. There were no over-the-counter sale. So he said, I'm working as an assistant to the pharmacist there. And it was one of the offices of that. So I said, fine. So I went there, and I think the pharmacist's name was Paulson, Mr. Paulson. So I said, Mr. Paulson, Abdullah sent me. So he thought I was pharmacist. He said, go and put that. So I put that on, stood next to him. Then he said, okay, this prescription, go and get this. So when I would go to get the pill or whatever it is, I would go around. So after, he said, what took you so long? You should be sort of bringing this bottle or tablet within no time. So I said, well, it takes me time. He said, aren't you a pharmacy student? I said, no, I'm an economist. He said, what are you doing here? You can't work here. Then I said, Mr. Paulson, I don't have any job. What can I do? Because I don't have, a green card. So he took pity on me. He said, okay, what can you do? I said, I can do that work. There were two girls doing the accounting and all that. So he said, okay, you work there. So I started working there. So I was getting enough money. Then a friend of mine was working in a big printing company here. So he told me they need a manager for the Federal Credit Union. So I went there for an interview. I got the job immediately. They didn't ask for this thing. So I said, great, I was working there for a long time. Then I said, hey, let's go and apply for green card. So my friend said, hey, don't go, otherwise I'll deport you, because you are working without, work visa. They'll deport you. I said, if they deport me, I'll go to Canada. Canada, you could go. In Canada, there was no this thing, check on, because they need it, especially Indians, because we were part of Commonwealth before independence. So I went there, and I met the immigration officer in Baltimore, and he saw my application there. He said, oh, very good. You are from the land of mystery, India. So I said, okay. Then he asked me, how are you here? I said, I came on student visa. So but he said, we can't give you, there is a quota there. So he says, for economists, we can't give you green card from here. You will have to go and apply at the, in the federal office. And everybody told me, don't go there, don't let them deport you. So I went back. I said, failure. Then I said, let me try again. So I went again to the office in Baltimore. At that time, I met another officer. My file was transferred. So he saw me. I said, listen, I don't have a job, I don't have this, but can you please give me green card? So he says, as per the law, we can't give you here, you will have to apply there. But he said, where are you working? I said, I'm working as a manager of Federal Credit Union. So he says, okay, go and tell your, president of the credit union that they want to sponsor you for green card. He was so nice. So I went to him. So I said, I want this. So they said, and he was so nice enough that he didn't even made me fill out another form, that officer. He said, you can just scratch this. I said, and it was already notarized, or whatever, So I said, officer, he said, oh, don't worry about it. So my friend said, this is just a trap to deport you. And even when I went to the director to get, so he told me, Harry, this already, how can I sign on this? I said, the officer said, so he said, okay. I went back to the same officer. He said, okay, you'll get, and within a month I got green card. It was sent straight to the office,
Were you ever worried? Were you ever worried?
I had no option what to do.
But were you ever worried, like you came here and there were so many things that were going wrong and then a lot of things were going right, but were you ever worried? Or were you kind of like, I'll just go back?
Well, no, I was thinking I'll go to Canada.
I got options.
I have options for sure.
Educated.
Yeah. Once I was working in Washington, D.C. area, Northeast, in that pharmacy. And I was going back to catch the bus to go to Mount Rainier. And two or three young kids, they started following me. It was a little distance to go to the Rhode Island, this thing, from where I was going to. And so those three kids, those three teens, they started following me. I said, I don't know why, I got a little worried, They saw I was wearing a watch which looked as if it has a gold chain. So they said, hey. And so when I almost reached Rhode Island at the bus stop, these three kids, one pulled my watch, other pulled my wallet, and the third one was trying to steal my Ray-Ban glasses, sunglasses. So I held onto the glasses with one hand and the wallet, and they could not unstrap this. But I was struggling and I fell on the sidewalk. In the meantime, that was, I think, weekend, so there was very little traffic. So one gentleman saw that these three kids are trying to rob him. He stopped. He got out of the car and he shouted at them, hey! So all the three kids ran away. And then he asked, what are you doing here? I said, I was trying to catch the bus. I worked there. So he was a very nice gentleman, black gentleman, very nice. So he said, come sit in the car.
And you sat.
I sat in the car and he dropped me quite away from this at a bus stop and dropped me there, and then I caught the bus. Sorry.
So after you got your green card, then what happened?
Oh, then, I was working as manager, and then I immediately sponsored Jagat because, so he came and he studied here and he did his MBA and CA.
But you said there was an issue because his last name was different than yours.
That is when I went to get him green card
What
because
happened?
he came on a student visa.
But what happened with their last names? What's the story there?
Is it on?
Yeah.
See, when first I sponsored my younger brother, the one who was in Boston 14 years ago. So he went to the university here, and I went to sponsor him. I think that was after I got my citizenship. For sponsoring him for green card. So the officer looked at it, I said, he is my younger brother, I would like to sponsor him. But his last name was different than mine. Because we have a custom in India, especially in our caste, that either we could use Singh, which is the last name, or we could use the division of the caste. So he decided to use Sisodia. So when the immigration officer saw this, he said, "Is your brother?" I said, "Yeah, he's my younger brother." So he said, "Did your mother get married second time?" I said, "No." "But then how come his last name is Sisodia?" I said, "He's my brother, we can use either Singh." He was using Jagat Singh Sisodia. He said, "No, sorry, we can't accept it." So I said, "Oh boy, what to do?" Then Raj Singh Ji's uncle, Maharaj Nagendra Singh Ji, he was the president of the World Court in Hague. So I said, "Raj Singh Ji, can you do some?" So he talked to his uncle. His uncle said, "No." He said, "No problem." So he wrote down, got it typed on this thing, World Court, this thing, where his name was President of the World Court, which is a very big thing, that I'm also a Sisodia and I use Singh as last name, but we could use it. And that is what this. Then I took it, the immigration officer accepted that. Then he got his green card. Then I sponsored after one other. I sponsored my sister first because her kids were older than my elder brother's children. So she came, and then after, I think 2 or 3 years, I sponsored my elder brother. So he came. And last one was my mother. I sponsored her. My father was dead. So all of them got green card. And all went to best university, and all have done exceedingly well.
Nelson, do you have any regrets?
Hmm?
Do you have any regrets?
No,
Nothing?
no. I mean, I couldn't even believe that my family, youngsters would do so well. Look at her. Look at my brother. He became president. My sister's elder son became vice president in Yahoo. Yeah, all of them. His younger brother had, 4 cafeterias here on the army bases, tremendously well. That's his father, her father.
Would you have done anything differently though, sir?
I mean, what else could I have done?
Like thinking back. Was there any time where you were like, I wish I did things differently?
No, initially I had planned it in such a way that elders will stay in India with the green card and visit here during summertime. So they don't have to face the winter here. But they wanted to stay here so far. And all of them have got beautiful houses, best cars, ton of money. What else? And I'm lucky to have such beautiful nieces. Look at her.
When you look at when you have all of these grandkids with you and everything like that, what's one thing that you would want everyone to remember when you're not there to give us advice?
I personally believe that's my. When I was young, I was very, very religious. I still am, but I believe all religions are good. There are some bad things in each religion. There are good things in it. So one cannot say, oh, this religion is better, this religion is better. I believe in all that. So that's my.
I thought you said you were agnostic or atheist.
Not agnostic. As I grew older, I started believing my Quran, Bible, Gita was truth, honesty and civility. One can believe in all the religion, but if one keeps lying or cheats people, what good is that religion? Going to churches and mosques and temples. And I know people who cheat poor. In India especially, these multi-millionaires. And they are poor people, So what good is that person going to temple? But it's this thing.
So what's one thing you hope for, like, you have grandkids, obviously all of us, but for your great-grandkids now?
Well, all I want them is they should be good human beings. That is the most important thing. And of course, as the generation passed, we accepted them getting married, to non-Indians also, as long as they picked a sibling who was good. It should be, he or she should be a good human being. That's fine. And none of them turned out to be a drunkard or a druggist. They could have. So what better than that? And I personally believe that it is. It all turned out to be good because of the blessings of my parents.
Did Balcom have any thoughts when she came here? Like, was she happy about you being here?
Oh, yeah. Because she was happy to, see all the siblings come and the children settled and all. She was delighted.
Is there anything we missed also that you wanted to talk about?
I think I've given quite a long lecture.
I mean, the only thing we didn't touch on was like Dolly and Jamie and
Oh,
such.
no, I love it.
Exactly.
They want me to talk about I always had a relationship with a woman. And they want.
Some of which who still call him and still ask if he is single. What? That's a fact.
Yeah, she's 80 years old.
Yeah. Called him recently.
It was a Jewish girl. She was studying at Georgetown University, doing her master's in linguistics. So when I was alone, we were dating, and she would come spend time with me and live a couple of days, And then when my brother came, then she said, "What about me?" Because he wouldn't be able to come. I said, "What can I do?" And our parents used to live in Baltimore. And I used to go there, and they initially wanted me to marry her, but I said, "No, I can't." So they accepted, okay, as long as. But when my younger brother came, she said, "What about me?" I said, "What can I do?" So then she went to University of Utah from here, did her PhD, and then moved to San Francisco. She's still there. 80-year-old, not married.
But many of his ex-girlfriends did not get married because they wanted to marry him,
No, they were nice to me. I was nice to them.
obviously. Boy, did you have any questions for Elsa?
No, I think he pretty much answered everything.
Come on, boy, you have no
Covered
answers? You have no
everything.
questions?
I actually spent so much time with Kaposa growing up. I've had the opportunity of spending time since I would say since I was a child. Although not a whole lot when I was a kid, but after I came to America I did, which was in 1982, and Kaposa has been a big inspiration for the whole family. He sacrificed a lot for the whole family,
No, no.
and we are very thankful for that. Although I feel bad, I wish he had not done that.
So imagine where we would have been otherwise.
He didn't get married, or he didn't. That is sad.
No, but it was not like that I was, fooling around with women. I always had a relation for a few years and then it will end.
Multiple monogamous relationships.
No, I never cheated anyone. or anything
And he
like
was a very handsome man, he still is. But could you imagine when he was young, how he was? So he was, so many girls were attracted
that. I
to him
didn't.
for that reason. With his personality.
No.
Also, how was it? You didn't have your own kids, but you had so many nieces and nephews.
Mhm.
So you were effectively like another parent to them.
Yeah, of course.
How did that, how was that experience for you?
Oh, it was wonderful.
Because at the end of the day, their parents had to.
No, and when they were growing up, they were kids. I used to play a lot with them. They would hug me around, even Jagat's grandchildren. Oh my God, when I come here, oh, he's come.
But you never got annoyed? I mean, when you lived with us, we were in your room every day playing chess or playing cards with you or bothering you about something or the other.
No,
You
no,
never got
no,
annoyed.
no. Once in a while, maybe, but I never.
Did it?
Well, I tell you one thing, which is very true. I'm very grateful to this country. This country has been extremely nice to me and my family. I admire this country. And I personally think that this is the best country in the world to live in. Of course, it has got its drawbacks, but it's a great country. I admire it. Of course, India has also got its pluses and minuses, but this is a great country. Look at it. In India, if you drive, you hear people honking all the time, driving on the other side of the road. Oof! Spitting on the
So
sidewalks.
then why exactly do you stay there?
Because as I grew older, it got lonesome here.
Even with everyone else around?
No, I was always staying by myself. So, being with the family over the weekend, but what do you do during the week? When I was working, I used to play a lot of sports. And later on, after I would come here, we had a big bridge group. So I'll be out from morning till evening, playing bridge and then walking around and all. Now I don't even drive.
Do you look back on it and wish you had gotten married?
Well,
Sometimes?
that's life.
Anything else, Elsa?
That's all.
Nothing else? Any questions from you guys? You have to hear everything.
I I know I bored you, but my niece.
That's
No, I'm sorry,
Why are you being so
I-
What's better, the parties in India or America?
Huh?
Because you're a big partier. Like, you talk about the parties. So, like,
Are the parties in India better or the parties here?
What?
The parties
In India?
in India or the
Oh,
parties here?
oh, both. But there, there are always people around. If you sit in a house or apartment or complex, you always hear human voice. There are kids playing downstairs. We have a big complex. A watchman talking. The other workers talking downstairs, drivers talking, and I'm fortunate enough. I have a nice 3-bedroom apartment facing the army base because for me, view is very important. So I've got because in India you don't get too much of view. It's all building. So I get a beautiful view, and fortunately I've got 2 full-time employees and 2 part-time employees. One is a full-time driver, other one is a full-time maid, and other 2 are part-time. So I don't have to buy grocery, I don't have to cook, I don't have to do laundry. What else?
Retirement is good.
And I pay them very handsomely, and I treat them very nicely.
That's what I'm curious. When your father died, where were you?
I was working in Bombay.
Were you surprised by it?
Oh yeah, because he died suddenly because of heart attack.
So then at that point, like what was going through your mind?
Oh, it was very difficult. Of course, next day Dadabai was also there in Bombay that time. He had come to see the test match. So we both immediately took the train to Lod and went to Basa. By that time his cremation was over.
Oh, so they'd already done his cremation.
You can't keep
The
this
body.
as per Hindu ritual.
Was there ever anything that you wanted to say to him or your siblings that you never got to say to them?
Well, I really admire my father. Tremendous. What to do? That's the only time I have cried in my life over somebody's death. This was in 1964. When I go, even family or friends, and I have tremendous grief, but I don't cry. But I cried there.
Even when your mother passed?
No, I didn't cry. I keep it inside,
Why is that?
because I can control I said, the feeling should be inside,
And she was older also.
And after a certain age, you feel bad, but if your parents or somebody in the family she was almost 80 or something
She
like
was 8, yeah.
that.
What about your brother? He also died on it.
He died, he died. But he was sick for quite some time.
So you had been mentally prepared yourself?
Yeah. Well, that's life. I never thought I would live to be 87. When I retired, I thought I will drive at 67.
That's 20 years.
That's what the lifespan was in India when I was growing up. When they saw a 50-year-old man or a woman, they would say, oh, that oldie is going there. And if somebody died, my father died when he was in 64. Everybody, they will console us and they said, look, he's lived a long life. He was 64. Because lifespan was much shorter at that time.
So what's the plan for 90?
No.
Why?
No, yeah, I don't have any desire to live anymore.
Awesome.
My concept of living is I would like to live as long as I'm healthy. I don't want to run a marathon at this age, but I don't want to be bedridden.
Health is wealth.
And my value is health is wealth. You can have all the wealth, and I've seen some very rich princes also, lying in with all the power and all the wealth and palaces and all. What good is that life? Health, then peace of mind, and then wealth. Because nobody carries all the, big castles and Mercedes and upstairs. But to each unto his own.
Sounds good. I have no other questions.
Eh?
I have no other questions.
Oh. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing, Elsa.
Sorry I bored you.
You didn't bore me.
But she insisted.
I
She
insisted.
insisted. I said, no, I don't want to. She said, no, you have to. Who knows, you may kick the bucket any
I
time.
never said kick the bucket. That's for sure. I've never said that one. No. Thanks, Elsa. We had to grab you before you left.
Yeah. A friend of mine here, very dear friend of mine, we were friends since 1958. He used to have a beautiful house in Potomac, worked for Johns Hopkins. He got a heart attack in 1994 or 95. And the doctor said, there is no way he can live except a heart transplant. So fortunately, they were able to get a donor heart. So he had a 35-year-old woman's heart in his body when he was 25. So he was same age as I am. And he lived with that heart for almost 25 years. And he used to drive after that all the way from Potomac to Johns Hopkins, Baltimore. And he would insist on it. He said, no, I'm going to drive.
He had to use that heart he got.
35-year-old woman's heart. Tremendous.
Crazy. I couldn't even imagine getting a heart transplant.
Yeah, especially even 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
It's a whole different
He was just 6 months younger than I.
Yeah, I remember when he got 2 heart attacks.
Yeah.
He enjoyed eating.
Huh?
He enjoyed to eat.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and he enjoyed his life. He would love to eat and drink,
You have the same diet till date. And Hunt's Pudding should really give you an award.
No, he was a very, very dear friend of mine. I miss him so much. Very affectionate. And whenever I come here, his son and his wife, my friend's wife, her elder son and his wife was a dentist, and the 2 granddaughters, they insist that I should come and spend, at least half a day with them. And when he was alive, he used to insist on my going and staying with him for about 2-3 days. And then these children, they are both, one is 19 and one is 21 or so. Both girls are studying at Maryland U, and they want to be doctors. Mother is a doctor.
That's who are your closest friends?
They are both gone.
No, Ramesh uncle.
And Bansi Bhan.
What about Raj Singh Ji also?
Raj Singh, yeah, he died, of course. Raj Singh. So they are so delighted, they immediately hug me and they make special food for me. Uncle has come, uncle has come.
Oh, we all love you also.
Thank you. I'm so lucky.
We're very lucky. And thanks for doing this. I know you most probably want dinner too.
Yeah, I was deadly against doing this. Yeah. I said everybody will think that I'm trying to show off. But
I'm stubborn, basically.
It's
It's a little. At 87,
You
you're
got a
allowed.
legacy right now.
She said if I don't, then she'll get me deported.
Yep.